Baron, he said that he's heard you speak into defensiveness as the first act of war. And he wondered if you could elaborate.
Yeah, defense, I often say defense is the first act of war. So, and I still see that that's so in my life. So if someone says, Katie, you're wrong, then I take that in and we can have a discussion. If I'm not aware of what I said or did that was wrong to my own mind, then that person can point it out to me. So that's a discussion. So now we're discussing it, and it's something that I can identify with or I can watch out for. And so we've had a great discussion when we resolve it that way. And it leaves us both open. But if we look at the same thing, someone says, Katie, you're wrong, and I say, I'm wrong. You think I'm wrong? How dare you say that to me? You know, you're the one that's wrong, and that was rude. You know, I was just stating my point of view, and I have a right to that. Okay, so who started the war? It was me. Defense is the first act of war. All they said is, Katie, you're wrong. That's all they said. And who started the war? You know, how dare you? How dare you judge me? Well, it was me. I started the war. So it's not in the first, it's in the second. And when we look to ourselves, it's in the first. I started the war.
And is that what you refer to as sort of the person who came to you and said, Katie, you're wrong, as sort of, being either the student or the teacher? Do you ask the question, okay, tell me more about that? What does that mean? Or
well,
you get defensive?
If I can see clearly where I was wrong, then we can both have a good laugh, because, I can say, oh my gosh, I did. I'm sincerely sorry. And how can I make that right with you? And we laugh and we go on, and I make it right where I can. So there's no stuck place. There's, it's not this a place where mold grows and resentment and bitterness and shriveling the next time you see that person, or gossiping about that person. It's all about growing and not getting stuck. And inquiry is a harmless way. There's nothing to believe or not to believe in it. It's all about awareness.
That's beautiful. I'm sure he'll really appreciate your elaboration on that as well. And another question that we had from another follower, Alexandria, she actually wanted to ask you about empaths, and she wanted to know, how can an empath connect with others but also keep themselves in a good state with so many others' energies and motives and emotions swirling around the relational atmosphere? So how would you sort of term that in terms of somebody who identifies themselves as an empath?
I think there's I discussed this in A Mind at Home with Itself. I'm sure I do. But if I think I know what you're telling me something and I'm feeling horrible, and you're being just authentic and sweet and dear, and you're in so much trouble, and I'm experiencing that as I work with you, then that is just all about me. I am thinking I know how you feel. And when I work with people, I know I don't know how you feel, that I can only imagine how you feel. So in that, I can just rip myself to shreds if I weren't more aware that, if I'm sitting with you, it's about how can I help you, rather than how can I just sit there in my ego thinking I know what you really feel and what you really think. And it's so subtle we don't even know we're doing it, and it can just wipe out a beautiful teachers, just burn them out. But so I suggest inquiry. I recommend inquiry, and just to know yourself a little more deeply. And when you know yourself, you know that you don't know. And that don't know mind is my favorite. When you understand the universe is friendly, you never need to know anything ever again. And the mind is open, and all the direction in the world is in that mind, and it's a beautiful mind. That don't know mind. It never has to worry or project a future. It understands that this is a beautiful world, and it's given to us and to wake up to. But what we're believing about the world could use a little work.
Yeah. And I definitely see so many of us suffering because of who we're identifying as. And I wonder, if somebody asked you, Katie, to tell them who you are, how would you answer that question?
Oh, I answer it from the birth certificate, Byron Kathleen, and my marriage certificate, Byron Kathleen Mitchell. And people don't just say, and do you believe it? So, I'm like in the world, but not so much of that world, I guess you could say.
It's an interesting thing to ponder, I think, because we have so many things that we identify ourselves as. And
if I question myself, I can have the birth certificate in front of me. I'm Byron Kathleen. Is it true? And just sit in those 4 questions and turn around. It will blow your mind about who and what you really are as compared to who and what you think or believe you are. Those are 2 different worlds. Those are one is the world of imagination, and the other is pure grace and knowledge. Just pure creativity.
Yeah. If you could instill one belief into the minds of everybody in the world right now, what would that belief be?
That if you're suffering, there's a way to end that suffering. And that way is to identify what you're thinking and believing that is so powerful about yourself, another person, and write it down and question it.
That's beautiful, beautiful, Katie. And I just want to acknowledge